Good morning. I'm Nikki, the obsessive bookseller, and today we are on shelf 6 of 9 of my young adult middle grade section. There are quite a few completed series in this section that I've managed to hoard over the years, and so yeah, ones that I'm really interested in getting to. I'm curious to hear feedback on if you've read them and if you think I should bump them up the priority list. As always, a link in the description if you're new to this series, and otherwise, let's go look at some books. It's always a gloomy morning when I decide to film. Anyway, I have the fourth book here of the Pellinor series, which I mentioned at the end of last week's video, so won't go into that. The Murder Complex, Lindsay Cummings. I won this book in a massive giveaway. I've never heard anything about it. The only reason I'm hanging on to it is because I loved the naturals so much, and I thought, okay, maybe young adult murder mysteries are my jam, and I just don't know it yet. So I've been afraid to let it go, even though it's really not my normal genre. And you know, sometimes it's kind of fun hanging on to books that aren't in your normal wheelhouse because they're like a breath of fresh air, something different every once in a while. So that one has my interest for the minute. The 13th Reality by James Dashner. The main reason I bought this one is because it's published by Shadow Mountain. They did the Fablehaven series, and I really like the quality of their stuff. So this one is much more middle grade feeling to me than the others that I've picked up from these publishers, but that is why I have them. I thought it would be pretty cool. I love the covers that they do. In fact, I, at one point in my life, have been an aspiring writer, and it was a goal of mine to get published by Shadow Mountain, which may still happen eventually, but we shall see. One must actually write the books to get them published, so that's where we have the holdup. The Body Finder by Kimberly Derting. So it's funny that I'm hanging on so tightly to that Murder Complex book because this is the series I am actually interested in reading. I saw Kimberly Derting at a book signing on an author panel, and she was hilarious. I really like her personality, and so I'm hoping that I'm going to like her books as well. She was a lot of fun. One of the coolest author interactions I've had to date. I've got all of these here signed. And yeah, I really like the idea for that. This one's called The Replaced. It's a sci-fi young adult by her. And then The Pledge. I get like prep school vibes from this series, but I haven't looked into it too terribly much. I kind of want to go in a little blind and be surprised. But I've been hanging on to these books forever, and I would say they are very close to the top of my want-to-read list. I just haven't made time for them. So maybe this year, maybe I'll actually get around to reading them. It's not like they're super long. I could probably read like this entire series in the time that it's taking me to get through Malice. The Dark Divide by Brie Despain. I think the only reason I picked this up is because it was signed, and I wasn't sure if it was something I was going to like or not. But I gotta say, I'm really not that interested in reading it. I don't even know what it's about, but I have a signed copy. The Peculiar Night of the Blue Heart. This looks like one of those books that I would have loved when I was in middle school. It's by Lauren DeStefano, who wrote the Chemical Garden series that I really loved. I love her writing. It's so beautiful, and I thought her taking on this type of kid's story is really appealing to me. And then I mentioned that I read the first book in this series, The Perfect Ruin, and didn't love it. So I have these other two books in the series, and I'm sure it gets a little better. I do want to read them eventually because I like her writing style so much, but did not enjoy the first book enough to hop aboard reading the next two that quickly. The Glass Spare by Lauren DeStefano. I have a lot of books by this author. I didn't even realize I had this one, so maybe instead of trying to reread that other one, I'll get going on this one sooner than later. I'm hoping that the Chemical Garden trilogy wasn't just like a unicorn and the only thing from her I'm going to like. This is a continuation beyond the Spiderwick Chronicles. I really loved that set of books. I think it is so cool. I love the formats that these come in. They're like really little satisfying hardcovers. And I don't know why I haven't made time to continue. I do need to actually buy the rest of the series and then kind of binge read them on a day. I think I'd have a lot of fun. These are ones that I think my kids would really like sooner than later because they're really short and accessible. The Search for Wandela by Tony Ditzerlizzi. When this came out, it got a lot of promotion. The publisher spent a lot of money on this one. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. It looks really fanciful. For some reason, it's giving me Labyrinth vibes, but it probably is absolutely nothing like that. And it kind of reminds me of a few of the more whimsical Netflix shows that have been on lately. So, hanging on to that one. I managed to pick up both Mila 2.0 and Mila Renegade 2.0, and these are those altered human, maybe cyborg type of stories, and I just haven't felt compelled to pick these up. I'm also kind of over the type of story that these are. I've read 4 or 5 of them in the young adult genre, and they're just okay. I usually end up giving them about a 3-star, so maybe just the type of story doesn't appeal to me too much. But I think because I have this one as an ARC, I felt compelled to hang on to it and add to the collection. And this is actually out of order. We've got Diane Duane's Young Wizards. These are giant compilations with multiple books in there. I have not read these, obviously. But I love anything with kids who can do magic. If there's a magic school involved, even better. And so that is why I picked this one up. This is actually a science fiction book club edition, and I need to back up a little bit because it's bigger than most of them. And you can see they shrunk the second one. I actually forgot I even had that series. That would be a good one to explore when I'm in the mood for a magic school. Okay, I read the first book. This is Sound by Alexandra Duncan. Savage was the first one. I read that and liked it. This is a companion continuation. It is not following the same character, which is probably why I haven't read it yet. And I resisted buying it for so long, and then I finally found it for $2 or $3 in hardcover. So I thought, all right, I'll pick it up. I'm weak. Vampire Beach 1 by Alex Duval. I do like vampire young adult novels. This one is really far off the beaten path, and that means it's either going to be wildly creative or it's going to be a poor man's copycat. Haven't been able to make time to read it to figure it out, but interested in that one. Really interested in this. The Lost Code by Kevin Emerson. Met this author and got this trilogy signed. It's pretty cool. But this is a teen Atlantis story. And I love books with exotic settings, and underwater is one of my favorites probably, so I think that's pretty cool. What has me even more interested is this author also wrote a series called Oliver Nocturne. There's these short middle grade vampire stories, which, yeah, I mean, you don't come across stuff like that very often, so I like his creativity from here, so I felt pretty good picking these ones up as well. I have the entire Richard Paul Evans box set here, starting with the Michael Vey Prisoner of Cell 25. I've been interested in these, but I haven't read them, and I finally picked this one up on a bargain sale on Book Outlet. There was one left, and they wanted $35, and I figured for these nice hardcovers, this gorgeous box set, yeah, sold. But I haven't read them yet, and I haven't been interested in reading them for quite a few years because I'm still bitter sauce about this author coming into the bookstore where I worked and being really rude to me. Don't be rude to booksellers if you're an author, especially when you're mad about something that isn't their fault. Now, granted, people have bad days, I get it, try to be a little bit compassionate when I think about it now, but he was very entitled and very much with the attitude that I'm better than you and I cannot believe you're not dropping everything to help me right now. And I just, yeah, no bueno. But I think it's been 15 years, maybe it's time to let it go and give the books a try. I have Dark Life by Kat Falls. This is also an underwater middle grade fantasy. I read an adult fantasy by her, and she had some really wild ideas. I never continued the series because the third book never came out. It got dropped. But really wild. So I'm looking for like intense world building in this one. I hope it's as good as I'm hoping. And then I have signed copies of Gilded and Silvern by Christina Farley. I started reading this one, and I have a hard time with characters who make really stupid decisions just to advance plot. Like, don't do the thing, it's dangerous. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do the thing. It's a plot device I don't care for, and right at the very beginning it happened, so I thought, alright, maybe I need to put this down and come back later. I thought the idea for the story was cool. Nancy Farmer, The Sea of Trolls. Did she also do the Scorpio races? I might be confusing my authors, but I remember picking this one up because the author is really highly regarded, and I love the creativity and the world building that her books promise. Okay, The Sanctum by Sarah Fine. I know absolutely nothing about this series, but I thought the hardcover was really pretty, so I bought it thinking maybe I'd read it eventually. It's giving me post-apocalyptic vibes, which I like. And then we move on to the second book here called Fractured. And then talk about young adult fantasy that sold so many copies. Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. This sold so many copies, and I am nervous to pick it up because I don't think it's going to be something I enjoy. I think it's going to be way too focused on the romance, and it's going to forget completely about world building, good plot construction. Yeah, there was a point in time when I was collecting at least the first book of everything that I was even mildly interested in, or that was super popular at the time. Adventurers Wanted, Slathbog's Gold by M.L. Foreman. This is also a Shadow Mountain publication. I love the dragon on the cover. The rest of the series is pretty as well, but I don't own them. But I love Fablehaven, so anything that these publishers put out immediately has my attention because they're very specific in the types of books that they produce, and I love it. I have no idea what this is. Only One Can Win. One moment, please. Okay, it's fancy packaging for an arc for a book called Endgame. It says 12 meteors, 12 ancient lines, 12 players. Only one can win. Ooh. And I'm not being sarcastic. Like, that sounds cool. I love competition in books. Love it. And so, only one can win. I'm gonna go rogue, and I'm gonna read that one this month sometime if I have a chance. Oh, wait! Look! Oh my god, I have it. Oh, James Frey. I believe this is the same Pittacus Lore that wrote I Am Number 4, and he's also the author of In a Million Little Pieces, that biography that had a lot of controversy. That's hilarious that I was like, what is this one? But yeah, I have copies right here. So this is a testament to how long it has been since I've tended to my young adult section. I used to know down to this individual book what I had here, but over the last 5 or 6 years I've just been gradually picking up titles without really paying a lot of attention to what they were and what I have. And truthfully, I've stopped buying so many because I haven't been reading them. Okay, so the promising thing here is that we've got a co-author. And even better, that I have more books in the series that I must have picked up on bargain. But yeah, I'm interested in the premise, for sure. I spent way too much money buying this gorgeous box set. I can't get the book out. We're going to leave it. Of the Beautiful Creatures series by Garcia and Stoll. So much hype for this series. I'm sure you've heard of it. There was a movie out on it. And I really like the paranormal stuff, but I'm sitting here feeling myself resistant to read these books. I just have this feeling that they're not going to be as good as I want them to be. But the promising thing is that there are 2 authors involved in writing this, and sometimes when that happens, it goes really dialogue heavy, but other times, between 2 authors, they can give you a lot more like rich, robust world building, and they are kind of thicker books. So Yeah, still on the fence about those. I'm not feeling super compelled to get to them soon, but with that much money invested in them, I should at least give them a try, I think. One of the better young adult series that I've halfway read, this is the third book in the Scarlet series by A.C. Goggin. Really liked those books. Never made time for the third one, and then finally picked it up on a bargain site like maybe 10 years later. So I'd have to go back and reread before continuing. But they were really good. Do you like the movie Brave, but wish it focused more on like the archery than the stupid bears? Yeah, read that. The bears weren't stupid. It just wasn't the plot point that I wanted to expand on in that. I have a whole rant. Anyway, by the same author, Reign the Earth, and because I liked how well she wrote the Scarlet series, I picked this one up, and I'm really excited to read it eventually. You know, there are so many books in here that I'm excited, but I've been burned a lot lately. Seems like everything I've picked up I haven't enjoyed too much. So I will get to these here and there, but right now I'm craving really dark, robust fantasy novels. And you can't possibly get that much like deep content into something like as thin as this. So yeah, eventually I'll get in a more lighthearted mood, and I do need things to like clear my palate between other reads. So this is Jessica D. George. Dragon Slippers is the one I'm most interested in from her, and there's like blank pages all the way at the beginning. Please hold. Oh my gosh. Haha. That's because I think the printing is upside down, or the dust jacket is upside down. Ah, there we go. Okay, well that's 5 minutes of my day I can't get back. So we have a signed copy here, which is pretty cool. I need to fix the dust jacket on it. So anything to do with dragons is great. This is a middle grade series, and the author was super charming, so give those a go at some point. And I have some books sitting here from a haul that I did that I haven't integrated in yet, but the fourth and fifth book in the Books in the Dragon Watch series by Brandon Mull. And hopefully I'll get around to these soon because I love the covers on these. And I love Fablehaven. The Dragon Watch, even though it covers my favorite location from the Fablehaven series, I'm not enjoying it as much. I don't feel like it's being given the same amount of care. It's more of like a choose your own adventure where they meet a bad guy, either fight it or negotiate with it, and then move on. Meet another bad guy, either fight or negotiate with it, then move on. And it's really dialogue heavy for such an adventure story. Yeah, it is missed for me, but I'm hoping the last two are really good. And then I picked up a copy of Cytonic, which I have not read yet. So, coming back here, a couple more Jessica D. George books. And then I've got a random middle grade called The Outcast by Golden and Snigoski. Don't know much about those. And then the Tunnels series by Gordon and Williams. The promise of adventure and discovery in this series is, I think, why I'm very interested in reading it. So I've got Tunnels, and I've got the second one, Deeper. Promises some good world building, and like I said, I love it when two authors get together. And then Michael Grant's Messenger of Fear. It's just a random arc I got in a giveaway, so don't know much about it. I am most interested in the Gone series. Fun fact, I think Michael Grant is married to K.A. Applegate, who wrote the Animorphs series that I love so much, so they're both writers. That's kind of cool. But Gone comes really highly praised. I got these on bargain less than a year ago, missing book number 2, but I thought, you know, I like these covers better than the other earlier editions, and I am banking on the fact that I might like these more than most young adult, so we shall see. Half Bad by Sally Green. Gosh, I think my best friend read this one, but I can't remember. And I think she really liked it. Or she really hated it. Oh crap, I can't remember. But I think I remember this one coming as a recommend and feeling okay picking it up because of that. But obviously I haven't gotten around to reading it. This is another one of those like mystery young adult novels that I got in a giveaway that I'm hanging on to just because I'm not sure if I like that genre a lot yet. This is an advanced copy of The Girl at Midnight by Melissa Gray. I do not know anything about that one, but the cover was pretty. I think I got that one in a giveaway also. And it was like one massive giveaway where she was giving away like 30 books and I was second in line, so I got to pick out 6 or 7, and I just picked the ones that I thought looked interesting. This one came in that as well. Mask of the Red Death by Bethany Griffin. And then a couple videos ago, I mentioned the Shannon Hale Goose Girl series. And there are more books in that series, but I do believe they follow different characters, and that's why I haven't read them yet. But beautiful, lovely writing. Really good, feel-good stories as well. Those ones were pretty easy to recommend. And then The Princess and the Hound, I don't know anything about this book, but I love dogs, so figured that one might be fun. And then this series, with that Hush Hush one, I think I'm more interested in Unearthly. It's by Cynthia Hand, but it's also one of those that I'm nervous to get into because I'm afraid that it's not going to be robust enough for my tastes. But I do think the covers are lovely. I love the girls in pretty dresses ones. So that wraps up this week's tour. Thank you so much for joining me on this tour. I hope to catch you next time. Bye.